Hello, welcome. Today I'll be talking about the evolution of consciousness through the densities. And in other videos I talk about this in depth, but I wanted to focus mainly on the fourth density and how fourth density is the peak or the optimal density for physicality, for the exhaustment and the really the end of the how far you can take physical reality. So in terms of technology and technological advancement. So I've talked about in other videos how fourth density, that we are currently transitioning from third density to fourth density. And fourth density is this essentially this time of great technological advancement. And when we have all this technically advanced species as humans, we're going to run into other technologically advanced species as well. And this will create a bit of, there's going to be some discrepancies in the future with other species. And in fourth density, which is understood as the density of love or understanding. And those are just one of two ways you can look at it. Look at the density. And the density is essentially going to teach us the ways of the battlefield of love. And this love is a battlefield in that you have in order to love somebody passionately. And our idea of love right now, on a very broad and collective scale, our idea of love is definitely not unconditional. It still has attributes and characteristics of possessiveness and circumstantial and limited perspectives. Okay, love is very much just not unconditional as we know it now. So in fourth density, we are learning how to be unconditional. And part of being unconditional is being non-physical. And even though as a collective we're going into fourth density, we are still capable as individuals, as singular souls that are having a seemingly separate experience. We have the potential to really go beyond the fourth density and the collective's kind of approach or velocity through the densities. And we can actually access all densities 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, all here and now. Because as I've explained in other videos, time is happening all at once. It's all simultaneous. So again, in fourth density, it is the peak. It is advancement in technology. So this can last, tens of thousands of years, and even longer than that, depending on the ability for the species to travel and go from planet to planet, and galaxy to or solar system to solar system, galaxy to galaxy. So a species has a potential to stay there for a very long period of time in fourth density. But ultimately, what you want as a soul, as an individual, is not to stay there. And there's a lot of collectives and a lot of advanced species that don't end up going into fifth density, which is the density of wisdom. And that is kind of the dropping off of the physical again. And might I add, just by this picture, this depiction here, you know, if we were going from one up into the peak of physicality, and we come back down again, it doesn't mean that when we come back down, we're going to be here at the same point. Because, again, this point here at first density, which is the density of awareness, is not the same point of here at 7 density, even though it's going down in the orientation of physicality. All throughout first, second, and third density, and all of fourth, we're learning, we're gaining knowledge, and essentially what the fifth, sixth, and seventh density is a removal or a forgetting of all the knowledge that we have gained, and going back to the one infinite, which is the unity that is always already available, ever present, and is in every single one of us. We all go back to the commonality that we share within all of us in the later densities. So, just because a society is technologically advancing, and if you don't really resonate with that, then you don't have to be a part of the collective. You don't really have to be a part of you. Of course, you can still enjoy what you want to enjoy, and like what brings you the greatest amount of bliss, and ultimately what gives you the greatest ability to be of service to others. Because I couldn't do presentations, I couldn't do videos if it wasn't for this technology that we have today, and that's spread and shared for all civilians. So I'm grateful for that. But I prefer to really be less physical and be more of a subjective experience, rather than wanting to prove that everything that I experience is real. And of course, when you're living in an objective world and always reaching outward, you're always going to want to prove to others that what you experience is real, and that's why you go throughout and create things and make relationships and create new inventions and do all this stuff. And of course, that is very much fourth density understanding. And when you reach a certain point and find out that all of this creation is ultimately just for me, and I'm just proving to myself and giving me a permission slip for me to feel validated, then once you realize that, you don't really need to validate yourself through physical means anymore. You don't need to validate yourself through, of course, you're not going to switch from one extreme of wanting to validate yourself through, your creation, your contribution, your status in the world, to ultimate renunciation and renouncing of all physical things. If you're not going to move to one to the other extreme, I highly doubt it. So it's a gradual process, and it's a process that is to be taken at your own comfort. So I talk about this in all of my videos, but essentially what I want to get across here today is that the fourth density that we're going into is one of highly technologically advanced species that is going to really find their own relationship and how they relate with other species, and figure out that, it's really not about the other species, it's about my relationship with myself, and how my relationship with myself is ultimately what's going to be reflected in the relationships with others. So, the more that you learn that, the more that you go into the wisdom density and the teachings of fifth density and the lessons and it's not really limited. You are not limited to just, the lessons of third density. You are an infinite being that has infinite capacity of imagination, and imagination is really what it is. Literally, is the locational traversal through time, and you can really go to any point in your imagination that you desire, and that location where you go to is going to give you certain information, and that information can be integrated into your own earth existence, your own body, your own human existence, and that is where you can truly make a difference by ultimately changing your own vibratory resonance and your own vibration, because that's really what all physicality is. So physicality is just different frequencies and unique, specific vibratory resonances that are all seemingly different, but they are all have the purpose of really experiencing a more profound and expansive view of their own awareness. Okay, so yes, again, fourth density is all about technological advancement, and also learning the lessons that all the physical gadgets and all the physical pleasures and the gratifications that you can have are ultimately not going to give you the subjective experience. So in fourth density, we're learning that we're not the object. We're not the body. We're as a collective and as individuals, we're learning that, the objective is just a silly thing to chase, because what we really are is the subject, and that's what we are really experiencing is the subject, the person, the identity, and the beingness rather, and that is going to give us that gratification that we are seeking and searching out in the objective and through objects in that physical world. So, as the society and as the human species advances exponentially quicker, and ask really is insisting or expecting or assuming that you're going to change with them, it's really not up to them, and it's really up to you, and you always have a choice, is what I'm saying, right? In third density, we always have a choice, and the further we go into fourth density, and this lifetime is a wonderful lifetime. So because we're really transitioning from third into fourth, so it's like a really intense time right now to be alive and to learn and to experience the human experience. So the choice that we have is always not to be tied, or not to be in a contractual agreement, or to be under the impression that you are the other person. And this, of course, is ultimately an illusion, but it also can set you free in the fact that, okay, I actually make my own choices, and what I choose is actually, and what I'm responsible is actually not about anybody else. What I choose is for me, and it's not really for anybody else. It's to make me feel a certain way, to make me feel better about myself, so that I can ultimately help others feel better. That's what it all comes down to. So yes, the fourth density is going to be this time where you're going to have a great connection and a great capacity to come together in groups and come together in love and to the closest thing that we can be as unconditional with others. And this is a great lesson, and I'm still learning this myself. So this is a profound lesson that we all are going to be learning throughout the rest of our life here in third density and the beginning stages of fourth density, I should say, because really we're in fourth density now. So just remember that just because the rest of the society goes right and you want to go left, it doesn't mean that you're any less intelligent or invalidated. You're as equally valid, and as a sovereign individual that is ultimately has free will and choice, you have the responsibility to take yourself sincerely and do what it is that you ultimately makes you feel the greatest peace, bliss, love, and forgiveness and acceptance of you and others. So, and to do that at all costs, it without the considerate, not so much consideration, without the expense of being inauthentic or insincere with yourself is the ultimate key here. So, yes, fourth density again. I know I'm saying this repeatedly, but it is one of the most important teachings of mine, that you don't have to go and chase the technological and the sophistication and enculturation of humanity and where it is going. And you can take your own path as a sovereign individual that is here for a journey to explore the free will of and the freedom of the third, fourth density lessons. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. And thanks again so much for watching. I'll see you on another one.